on the way.
Boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is Boogeyman band. Is Boogeyman band.
But if you just give them that, now it's just more of the same. If you try to do something a little different, whoa, they changed it. And you took such a big swing, and it's been incredible how much love this movie has for it, especially over the last, I'd say 15 years.
Yes.
The way fans they love it. I just watched it again this morning. Of all the panels I was gonna be hosting, I'm like, this is the one that I gotta watch again. And I realized I've watched it way more times than I should probably admit. But you're 23?
Yeah.
23 years old, just out of film school. And one of my favorite things about interviews with you is when you're like, I didn't realize how over my head I was till the day I got to set and realized, oh no. So let's go back to that day.
Okay.
What about that day, I'm sure there's a million things, but one or two things where you realized, oh my God, I thought I could do this, but this is way harder than I thought.
Well, it was actually only one thing followed by a worse thing, which is when I cast and crewed the movie. First off, I got the job when I was 21 to write and direct it. So it took 22 into 23 to write it and get it set up and new line and all that rest of it. And then 23 comes, and I had a beard the whole time I was casting and crewing the movie. So all these fine folks met me with the beard first.
So they trusted you as a director?
100%. 100%. And it was summer. We're shooting in LA in July and August, which is a nightmare. And so I knew it was going to be hot. I thought, you know what? First day of the show, new Adam. And I shave off the beard. Biggest fucking mistake of my life. Because I get to set, and my cinematographer, Bill Dill, who had become a close friend at this point, and really my biggest ally, he turned, saw me, and went, "How the fuck old are you?" And then I handed him and my first AD my first shot list, which was 50 shots for the day.
Oh.
So suddenly, both of their faces go like, ugh. And next thing I know, Sean is brought in, and now the three of them are surrounding me. By the way, Bill and Sam Honey are incredible first AD, are giant men. So I felt like I was in a well with Sean. Right? The only two like huddled, you know. And Sean, of course, is barking at me like, "You can't have this many shots, you fucking mind. It's your first day, you're gonna lose your job. The first goddamn day, I go over there, go to the lunch table, sit there, and cut this down to 20 shots." And I'm like, so I go over to the lunch table, and there's a photograph of me from behind, like this. And I just, every time I look at it, I go, oh, my shame, my shame. And I cut it down to 24 shots. And I bring it back. And Bill and Sam were thrilled. We're like, hey, all right, you know. Sean's like, you're not gonna get all those. You get 18 at best. I got 27 shots in my first day.
Wow.
The average amount of setups on Jason Goes to Hell was 38 setups a day. 38 every single day. Wow. That's the truth. We had 1,000 setups in 30 days in our first 30. Wow. And then we had a lot more for the last little bit. But that's what we did. And so that was when I knew, like, this is real and I'm screwed. And luckily I had, honestly, I could not have had better cinematic fathers in that moment, because Sean, while he was a taskmaster, was a great producer. Like, he knew how to get me what I needed on the day to make it happen. And I had Bill Dill, who, I mean, guys, the fact that Bill was supposed to shoot the Jacksons miniseries on ABC, he turned that down after he and I met. He did not want to do a Friday the 13th movie. He had no interest. That was a loser for him. He was a Sundance guy. And suddenly he's sitting with me, and we got along so well. He was like, oh, fuck that Jackson thing, I'm doing this movie. And he really was like a dad to me. Like, he really taught me how to do what I needed to do. So, yeah.
And speaking of, which that's gonna be my next question for everyone, but for John specifically though, I think you're the only one to be in the series and in a film.
Somebody else.
Is
Actually, to be truthful, I think it's like a what is it, Trivial Pursuit question? I think there's somebody else. I don't know their name.
Does anyone know their name?
Anybody know the name?
Fuck it, you're the only one.
Okay, fine, I'm the only one. All right.
Like the day player Zippy Magoo?
Somebody like that. It was Zippy.
Forget Zippy.
But having
Forget
done
Oh, no, there was one.
series-
There was.
John Shepard, where are you?
Get him the pot.
Wow.
I had never seen one of these films before, and what I gotta say, what inspired me to even do the film was the opportunity to work with this guy who had all this incredible energy. I went over to his apartment, and there was no furniture in the place. It was like the guy was living like he was in college, and we were listening to Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell. But he just had all these like off the wall ideas, and he, I guess I did know what these films were about, and I knew that they were kind of, one-dimensional. This guy just walked around, slaughtering people, and he had an idea to give kind of everybody more dimension, and that was kind of what drew me to it, and his insatiable energy. There it is.
And we're both musical theater geeks, so that was actually a big part of the bond. It was. I know, like,
It
at
was,
a
actually.
Friday 13th panel, it's not exactly, you're like, musical theater.
Favorite
Great.
show.
Let's do our jazz hands.
Are you kidding me? I've done the show 3 times. What are you?
It's my favorite
Come
job.
on, it's amazing. I played the plan, dude.
Why don't we just talk about Little Shop of Horrors?
Done deal.
One of the greatest characters in the entire universe. You look like you were having so much fun playing that part. That opening is early in the movie, the scene in the diner, when you tell him
Not fun at all.
to blow me right after your woman here blows me, finishes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Was that all in the script, or were
Yeah,
you
the
just
taste of the
going?
Duke
Is
is-
it like, you just look like,
In the restaurant with Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was scripted.
That was
wasn't it?
scripted. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the words, yeah.
It was actually scripted,
Yeah.
not delivered. First of all, I'm only 5'2". You talk about, the rest of this is ego. Secondly, I just learned that I was directed by a child. Didn't know that. And the other thing was, as Adam said, if anybody got the book Crystal Memoirs that
Yeah.
tabletop, yeah. Adam tells you if I was drunk or getting over a hangover, most of the time.
Wait.
He actually puts it in the book.
Here's,
He
hang
puts
on.
it in the book.
This is literally, I gotta tell you, this is true, okay? This guy would show up to set every morning, and I would be like, "Hey, what were you doing last night?" "Oh, partying." "Really?" "Yeah. I didn't even go home." Like, "What now?" And then we'd be in the middle of the day of shooting. We were in like the Voorhees house, and there's the sacrificial table that we tied this poor bastard to.
No.
Kiss. Everyone just asked that question for the rest of my life. We're at that table. We had to we'd reset the lights, and Steven's like, he puts his head on the table and goes to sleep. We're moving lights. The whole crew is moving the whole thing, and I was like, "Hey, see, we're ready." And he'd be like, "Got it! What we doing?"
He's like, we're done for the day.
We're perfect the second we woke him up. I was like, "What factory were you built in?" So he can party all night and work all day with like precision. It's just true. Most fun guy I've ever worked with.
Probably the best compliment I have ever gotten from a director. Came
You're the
from
man.
Anna Marcus.
You're the man.
Yeah, that was what I did. God blessed me with the. Really blessed me with the talent, because I never wanted to be an actor. I never tried to be an actor. It was dropped in my lap. You know, like the Rolling Blues Brothers, I think, started. And then Cooley High, which is all shot in Chicago. That brought me to Hollywood, and everything started to snowball. So I had a totally different attitude about the business of the business. It was just all fun and games for me, and a way to get laid.
By the way, when I first met you, the first day you and I met, I was so overwhelmed because you have, to this day, said one of my favorite lines of all cinema history, which is, "Oh, that's a shame. White people."
Oh!
yeah.
Same.
It's
throwaway a
perfectly good white boy like that.
Yeah. For better off dead.
Man, now that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
Better off dead. Better off dead.
Like
Hell
I
yeah.
saw him, I was like,
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. My ex-wife was Ann Geddes, and she represented the Cusacks, John and Joan and Dick the Dad. So they asked me to do a cameo. That one line in the movie.
It's the best line.
the line in the trailer.
Same.
Oh, hell yeah.
Was it in
Oh,
the trailer?
yeah.
All right, I'm famous for that.
Well, you just mentioned the being strapped down to a table.
Yes.
scene, which has been discussed forever since about the homoerotic shaving.
Yep.
So when you were shooting that, did you ever ask him like why?
That's you, Andy. That's you.
Yeah,
It's all blacked out. I don't have any recollection of that. I just would go to the makeup chair
Uh-huh.
and Mr. Robert over there would dress me up in all this brilliant latex monstrosities, and the headdress and the butt. And I thought, I'm working with a lot of talented people. I'm just here to carry the makeup. And I was thrilled to be wearing this world-class makeup. And so I didn't ask questions.
Nope.
No, I just, okay.
You just jumped
My
in.
tongue sticking out, okay. Okay. Shaven, watch it, yeah. I was so happy to be looking so great under all that makeup. I didn't really question anything else. And I figured Adam will let me know
Oh, yeah.
if we're going in the wrong direction. So I really, I didn't have any thoughts about it. I was a wind-up a wind-up, Josh.
Yeah.
Director's favorite actor.
Yeah,
right, go.
Apparently we had
It was
a bunch
best
of-
not to ask questions about what is in this scene. Better not to do. Just going.
I didn't
We
wanna-
apparently had a bunch of novices who made an iconic movie. That's what it sounds like. Everybody got a first time kind of thing.
Yeah,
going on.
yeah. But when it comes to the acting, the reason you give a shit when people die in this movie, and I started to feel like people didn't give a shit when people died. They would just go like, yay, oh, how'd you kill him, woo! And for me, that's not a horror movie. A horror movie has to mean you have to have loss when someone dies. These folks, when Adam dies in this movie, when that compound fracture happened, the audience lost their shit because they loved him. And by the way, out of this whole film, and look, the performers that are on the stage are fucking incredible. But the scene that I love the most in Jason Goes to Hell, out of all the movie, is that quiet, simple scene between Adam and John and Brooke when they're in the back room with
In
the
the
baby in the
yeah.
back of the diner, and there's just this moment where there's a dad. Geez, I get emotional. But there's a dad who's seeing his baby for the first time, and he turns to this guy he went to high school with, and he's like, man, the first time I've seen my baby. And he should turn him in. He's wanted by the cops. His mother wants to kill this guy, and he just throws his keys in.
Jeez, yes.
Get
Yeah,
outta
yeah.
here. I'm sorry, like that, you don't get that in most genre films. And so for me, the joy of making this movie was working with this cast and with that motherfucker at the end. Because I couldn't have had a better sandbox to play in with the things that I love.
Let's do this. And he's like sharing with me. Like he could have just been like, you're not good. No, he's working with me, giving with me, he's working. Go to get my camera line and stuff. And it was like, this is magic. This is what it's supposed to be.
Yep.
So yeah, that is always one of my favorite moments.
And there's a scene in Hatchet 2 where Victor Crowley puts the chainsaw through two dudes at once and saws them in half, and you see the testicles like dripping down. I didn't want the testicles in the movie. I was purposely trying to give the MPA something to get all upset about, and then finally after 10 times submitting, go, all right, fine, I'll get rid of the balls that I didn't want anyway. And then all of a sudden, Dark Sky was like, guess what? AMC wants to put it in theaters unrated, first time since Dawn of the Dead, and it's gonna be in major
Testicles
multiplexes.
and all.
Testicles and all. And I was like, I won. And that was if you've ever seen the trailers for Hatchet 2, it's like, unrated in theaters, buckets of blood. I'm like, I didn't like any of that, but that's what they did. Then the opening weekend comes, and 24 hours before the movie opens, we get a call that says, stop talking about it being unrated. It's the cast and press, don't talk about it. There were two publicists on the phone. I knew something was up. Because if the journalist would say, oh, this is gonna be released unrated in theaters, two publicists would jump in and go, no, we're not talking about that. So when you do press for a movie, oftentimes you bank interviews weeks in advance of when they're gonna run it. So the Friday that Hatchet 2 opened, Entertainment Weekly runs an interview with me from a month earlier. In the photo, I have duct tape on my mouth, and the title is Adam Green Says the MPAA is Evil. And so we got yanked from all screens as soon as we opened. They just pulled it. And then the third one, I'm like, I don't want to do theaters this time. I don't want to, and they still put that one in theaters. That one, though, they did independent theaters, so it was all right. Point is, for Terrifier 2, and you got to, first of all, however you feel about Terrifier, I love it, and I love the people who made it. I think they're great. And what they don't get enough credit for is, like, Art the Clown started in a short, in an anthology, and no one cared.
Yeah.
Then they made Terrifier 1, which, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but it was tiny that Epic paid for, because they didn't want it. And nothing happened with it, sorry?
750,000.
No, not for the first one.
Not the first one.
No,
Less
it was
than
like
that?
$5 grand.
Yeah.
It was like nothing.
Yeah.
And nothing really happened with it. But Damien and David especially, they were at every convention, dressing David up in that makeup, walking around. And so people didn't necessarily know Terrifier, but they started to know Art the Clown. Like, that is a decade of work. Then when the second one got made, which there was no reason to make a second one because the first one didn't do well, but they still did it. And then COVID is just ending, theaters are just opening, there was nothing in theaters, and they're like, yeah, we'll put this in theaters if it's unrated. Remember, to the theaters, even the MPAA, it's just money.
Yeah.
These people are not righteous, they're not pious, they're fucking... I had to have a trial with them on the first one, and it was the worst. This isn't about me. Terrifier. I'm so proud of them that they did break through. And now this summer we're getting Toxic Avenger unrated. We're getting, and this is what we tried to do with Hatchet 2. We were just 12 years too early. But it's not just some people. I've seen people say like, "Oh, it's just because of the pandemic. That's why Terrifier broke out." There was a lot of work that those guys did for it. And now you go to Spirit Halloween, Art the Clown, Art the Clown, Art the Clown. It's been so long since we've seen that happen with a character.
Absolutely.
And now Victor Crowley has a fucking clown to kill. So
But by the way, to that.
Heck yeah.
Just on this for one moment. What I find a little infuriating about our audience to some degree is I think what Adam did, and I'm not gonna say versus anybody else, but what I'm gonna say is what Adam did was he brought a level of clever gore to a movie with characters outside of the villain, with characters that you care about tremendously. And to me, that is a feat. Okay, so
it's what you did.
thank you very much. But it's about, but here's the thing, the gore part, the art of it is extraordinary. The thinking of it is easy. It's easy, okay? The gore part is like, okay, great. Either you're a sick fuck or you're not a sick fuck. We're both sick fucks, so coming up with that stuff is nothing. The problem is that that's the easy part. The hard part is making characters that you give a shit about, that when it happens to them, where it's not just, oh, look at the testicles fly, but it's like, oh shit, I like that guy, right? Where you actually get a little emotionally involved, not just watching the groove. And so for me, I think that's something that Adam did that other filmmakers don't. With Jason Goes to Hell, they wanted me to shoot extra gore. New Line wanted it, and I didn't understand why at first. They wanted stuff the MPAA was gonna freak out about and cut it. They wanted that. I didn't know their evil master plan was that they always planned to have two versions of the movie come out on video. Jason Goes to Hell was the biggest selling video for New Line Cinema in their history.
Wow.
That is including Lord of the Rings.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. Because every mom and pop shop had to get two instead of one.
Smart.
They doubled all their sales of all previous films. And they made an unbelievable amount of money because we had two versions of that film. By the way, America's the only country in the world where they played the neuter version. The X is everywhere else in the world played the X. We're the only country that did. More cheese. Love it. Awesome.
Thank you, though.